right, non-attachment to our own ideas, is really at the core of inviting other people into the process. Okay. Now, as far as, so how does this happen? How does it work? About 4 years ago, I did a book called, morning, afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. I did a book called Accidental Conversations. And the whole theme around that, I did a lot of research around innovation. And one of the themes in Accidental Conversations is the idea that the best things in life happen unplanned. Okay? That you could sit and try to engineer good ideas or solutions to problems. You're trying to work it out, again, in a very linear, logical way. And usually, the aha is going to be a surprise. So think about the paradox or oxymoron around, we want to invent or we want to engineer the development of a surprise. Okay. So I came up with the idea of strategic serendipity. And strategic serendipity is when I know what I want to create, I know what the problem I want to solve, and I put myself in spaces where surprise can occur. And so that's the power of the water cooler, the coffee shop. Right, this morning at 7:30, I bump into Jim and at a coffee shop, and the bouncer, the young lady who's the bouncer in the back. Yeah, and if it was a normal morning where I wasn't running to work and he wasn't, running to a major conference, we might have hung out, we might have talked, we might have chatted. Where would that conversation go? You have no idea where it ends up. Okay, and if we want to even make it even more statistically or from a quantum point of view, more possible that we end up with new ideas, right? Gloria and Tim, who also are kind of regulars at this place, Civilization in Tremont, we get them in the conversation, right? Now, the stakes, not the stakes, but the potential benefits are even higher if they're clueless to the content of the conversation, right? If they're clueless to the content of the conversation, which means that they don't have any knowledge to add. What they have to add are naive questions. Okay. Tim is great at that. He'll just come out of the blue. You don't know where he's coming from. I don't know where you don't know where his head is ever, and he'll come out and say, "Okay, what about this?" And that's gonna throw a curve into the conversation. And if anybody actually bothers to listen to him and take him seriously, right, it can take us down a road that's unplanned. And the unplanned road actually has more possibility than all the logical, maneuverings and all the effort we're trying to get at a logical solution.
Well, Jack, I make a living being disruptive.
That's what it is.
I go in on a financial planning basis and I ask people, what if?
Right.
And that's essentially where some of my mindset comes from. The other one is I just like to disrupt things.
Yeah. Provoke, piss off, and disrupt. Yeah, it's on his card. Kind of thing.
Not necessarily in that order.
No, not at all.
What was that middle one? Provoke, what, and disrupt?
Yeah. Yes. Annoy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I really want. So if you want to, think about who to. The question becomes, well, who should I invite into my thought process? And what I'm saying is that the most unlikely candidates are potentially the most powerful. Okay. A little segue now into social network stuff. I started learning as a student of social network development, social network theory with Valdis a few years ago. And he's really mentored me in a lot of this stuff. And one of the things that I've learned and certainly practice is the idea of the social networks that we're involved with. The way that I visualize it is basically that we all live in three circles. Right? There's a first circle, second, and third circle. Our first circle are the people we know the best. And as Valdis often says, they're the ones who probably have the same ideas you do because you're hanging out, right? You're talking, and you're constantly updating. You're reading the same stuff. You're reading the same blogs. You're writing the same blogs. You're going to the same events. You're breathing the same air. That's your first circle. The second circle are the people they know, right? Okay. So I know Gloria, but I don't know, and I know somebody through her, right? But I know of them, but I really don't know them. Okay. My third circle are the people they know, right? So if I didn't know Valdis, and Gloria did, Gloria knows Valdis, right? I know of him, right? He knows somebody else. It's that third circle where the gold lives. Those are the people who are interacting with things, right, that I have the least interaction with. Or if I want new ideas, I'm going to go out to that. If I'm the core, because I am the center of my universe, right? If I'm the core of my network, I have to go out to get new ideas. Right? And so this is a real practical matter, right? If you're at a party and you want new ideas, or you're networking, you're solving a problem, I'm going to call a friend of mine. You should do that. You should say, do you have any ideas? Okay? But, don't spend too much time with that, because they may or may not. If you ask them, who do you know? Who do you go to for ideas? And who do they go to? And they name names that you say, I don't even know who that is. That's who you should be on the phone with, right? That's who you should be instant messaging or emailing, right? Taking for a beer or coffee. Because that's the person who's going to have the freshest ideas, the freshest questions. Have you thought about this? That's why a lot of us like to travel. We go to places, we meet people we don't know, we get ideas, we bring them back. Cleveland is a really rich ecology right now of thought people. We have a lot of people here in Cleveland who travel out, and we're the out-of-town experts. Right? And we live here. We come back here, and we feed each other all the time. So there's a corollary to this rule about people closest to you, because if people in your first circle are people who are out interacting with new people a lot, then your first circle is really valuable to you. Right? And I'm very fortunate that way. I have a lot of people in my first circle who I can call. Valdis is my first circle. I can call him. I don't know what he's going to say. Right? So if you have people in your life who are unpredictable, but known to you, that's really valuable in terms of innovation. Making sure our time is good. I want to talk a little bit about the idea that collaboration has to happen throughout the whole process, around the whole innovation process. In the beginning of ideas, the point I'm making is this. Let me get to my point, and then I'll back into it. The point I'm making is this, is that if you want to involve a team of people, the more diverse the personalities, the better. Right? If you want a very limited amount of new ideas, invite people who are the same. Okay? Same height, same weight, same color, same shape, same background, same, discipline, they all went to the same schools, and so on. The key is differences, including personality differences. Okay, so I just want to name some and talk about where to engage them. Because if you just say, I want to engage people randomly, you are following the accidental conversation rule, and you get some new ideas, but innovation is this movement from creativity to a final deliverable. So let's talk about the different personalities. In the beginning of the creative process or any innovation, you're looking for a solution, you're looking for a new idea. You want people who are dreamers. You want people who are opposers. People who say, you know what, I think the normal way things happen stinks, right? I don't like the norm. They're the people who push back, right? Whatever the norm is, if everybody's 4X, they're against it. They're skeptical of it, they're cynical. People like that. Those are great people to have in the beginning of the process. After that, but this is important, they may not have value to you after that. Okay? All right? Because they have like one speed. Push back, right? Think different. And that's their job. And the whole idea behind the personality differences is that everybody's got their job at the right time. Okay? So if you know somebody who's really good at analyzing risks and looking at risk, you don't want them having the beginning of the thing, right? Okay? They come in later. I'll talk about them in a minute. The whiny, the paranoid, and the afraid, okay? And they have a place in the process, but not in the beginning. So you don't call it, if you really want to orchestrate the process well, you don't call them in the beginning. You don't even have them at the table. Okay? They want to come and say, you know, we need you at the right time. It's just like if you're building a house. You don't want the drywall guys showing up right when you're digging the hole. Right? You guys are nice, drywall's nice, everything's beautiful, right? You know, here's $10, have a beer, you know, come back in 3 weeks. Because we need you then. Okay? All the big creative firms like IDEO are genius at this. They know who to bring in at the right time in order to move the process along. Once you get your ideas going, you have a lot of ideas, you have to make sure they work. So you need people in the process early on, but not too early, who understand the market, right? Who are you aiming for? What are you building this for? And they may not be your idea people. The market people are the people who love research. They're people who love to talk to other people. What are you looking for, right, in this design, in this product, in this service, in this solution? People who love talking to the end users. It may not help you technically, but they're the people who have their ear to the ground. They're the ones who say, this is what is going to sell. And you cannot pay them enough money for that. Now you're in the building of whatever is new. Right, the innovation. In this conference, new technology, new tool, new software, new solution, and you've got people who are just good at locking themselves in a room and solving problems that way. Right, they're good problem solvers. The whiny and the paranoid, they come in when you're doing risk management. Right, how could this go wrong? Right. But again, you only want them in the conversation for about 15 minutes, unless they're very creative people. Creative people you need throughout. The other kind of people you need throughout the process are people who are experienced. They've been there and they've done that. Okay, and that's why the dot-coms turned into dot-bombs early on. Because I was involved with some of them back in the late 90s here in the Cleveland area. You know, we blew through $20 million in 6 months. Right? And all we had at the end was the owner being arrested in Taiwan and in prison. I mean, that was the deliverable. Okay? It wasn't that satisfying, okay? And it wasn't in our business plan, you know, which we had to $20 million worth of investors. That wasn't what they were exactly looking for. It was entertaining, but not useful. It was. But in that case, I mean, we had a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings. We had no 40 and 50-somethings. And then that kind of flipped where a few years later, you would start to see it flip, where a lot of companies or startups try to do startups with 40 and 50-somethings, saying, well, we need the maturity here. Those things died too, right? Because you can't do it. These people are all thinking like 40 and 50-something people, right? And you need that cross-generational synergy, right? That kind of collaboration to make it happen. So now, story after story after story, all right? Read the paper, read a magazine, listen to the stories, go to conferences, and people are winning, okay? Why is it coming back? Why is it working today? It's working today because in every case, and you'll see the pictures of who's on the teams, and these are very multi-generational teams. And they're much more cross-disciplinary, right? They're not just marketing people. They're not just tech people, right? It's not a geeked-out community anymore. It's a much more rich, diverse. And the reason why is because we all learned. You know, we're not stupid. We woke up and said, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because we didn't get the collaboration right. Collaboration was there, and the resources were there. I mean, $20 million is, I think that's enough for a startup. You know, the product was as a commerce